What's up guys, Cloudie here, reporting from the America server, and this will be a video about Pansirone. As you can see in the screen already, she's posing for us. So in this video I'm gonna talk about who she is, how she works, whether she's worth using and where you would use her, also how to actually build her, what unique treasures to get, how her unique weapon works, and so on and so on. So let's just get to her, let's see. She is advertised as a NPC hero, but actually none of the NPC mechanics works to her, so she doesn't have any specific NPC buff as you do with all the other ones, nor do you need to give her presents. So it's only really that she's present in the story and that that she starts at 4-star, but other than that she's not really an NPC. You can already buy her unique weapon and unique treasures through selectors, so you don't need to wait for that, which is pretty nice. And generally she seems pretty OP right now. She's a mechanic and then AoE type of character dealing physical damage, and a lot of it, especially at close range. Now let's just quickly go through her skill set. Her skill 1, called a present for you, has a 22 second cooldown and costs 2 mana, and it ignites people, so they will start burning. That's her main thing. They also get their healing rate reduced, but that's not really the big deal here. Once they are burning and you have used this skill once, you can use Now Die. I wonder why it's written like that. For another 2 mana, which will also attack 7 times, dealing a lot of damage with each hit. If the target is not a hero, this one deals even more damage. And if the enemy already has Eternal Blaze on it, then this deals even more damage. So you can start counting how many times more damage this is. Now her second skill is the Thrill How Exciting. This is a 20-second cooldown, hits people or enemies 12 times around herself for some damage, and increases her own attack by 52,000. This is at level 84, so it actually goes up by more, and death penetration by 500. I'm not quite sure how high this goes, but this is pretty brutal. That's a massive attack bonus and also a lot of penetration, and considering she is a mechanic, you can almost cap out her crit without any gear, so she can stack up a lot of attack, and if you need crit damage, but you can get that from other sources, so this will be pretty important. Her third skill, Don't You Dare Run, is a massive nuke hitting random enemies 10 times for a total of 2 million damage. But if the attack hits the same time, each hit is increased by 42,000. This is with noob gear, so don't really take any conclusions. This is with a 0-star unique weapon and stuff, so this gets a lot better. And then finally, Cruel Delight increases her attack by another 23,000 and damage dealt to non-hero enemies by 30%. Again, non-hero enemies another 30%. That's just nuts. And if you have Eternal Blaze on any enemy that she hits, she reignites it. So this one, which should burn for 10 seconds, will keep ticking as long as you keep attacking the enemy. Let's just see how this looks actually in action. Actually in action, that sounds kind of weird, but whatever. So her normal attack is a frontal cone attack. This actually hits more targets around her, or in front of her, but in a short range. And this is actually both true for her S1 and S2, that it's only a short range attack. It will not hit backliners if you are trying to use her in PvP, unless you can pull them in somehow. So let's just see how this looks. So you see, this was like an area around the target, and now I have 10 seconds to use this, and just watch how much damage she did already. That's pretty nuts. So let's add her S2. This has a cool animation, you can see. She has a buff now, So doing this will do even more damage. It's kind of funny how she jumps on that flamethrower. And you can see that the ticks there, the red ticks are Eternal Blaze. Now you can also do S3. This is a nuke. Actually at lower levels I think this does more damage than her S1, but we will get to that later because I believe that if you build her up, then her S3 becomes less and less potent. With the only good thing about it that it hits all over the area and can hit backliners or stuff farther away from her, but that's not really her strong point. She really is good at hitting stuff in front of her. So let's get out of here. When it loads, and let's just check how she looks like in the character sheet. So this is her unique weapon. Each attack on an enemy inflicted with Eternal Blaze, so her S1, will increase her own attack and defense by 1% and the damage dealt from Eternal Blaze by 1%. And this stacks up 20 times. So a 0-star unique weapon gives her 20% attack and defense and increases Eternal Blaze damage by 20%. You can see where this is going, I think. So let's just make this 5-star. This turns the buff to 2.5% per stack or 50% at maximum, which is dope. 50% attack and defense, and her dot becomes 50% stronger. and she gets all those other damage multipliers, a whole lot of attack, and yeah, that's gonna be nuts when it just starts ticking around everyone. That's gonna be brutal. Now let's check her unique treasures. I believe this one will be the best, but let's just go to the index and look what we have, what you can get for her, and we can discuss about how those works or how those work. So let's go. So if you build a low-level Pansirone with low investment, then this is for her S3. It increases its damage by 50%. Plus you get some crit damage for each attack, which can stack 20 times. So you get 40% crit damage at a 0-star unique treasure. You could do this up to the whole 100% crit damage, but this is only for 10 seconds. I would say if you are building a low-level Pansirone, then doing this one might be a better option. But if you are willing to invest in her, then there are better options, and we will get there in a moment. Now, this is for her S2. Upon using the skill, dispels negative effects from self and gains immunity to CC for 4 seconds. At a 5-star, this is 10 seconds of immunity for a skill that she can activate on herself. This is like Erza in PvP now. This is definitely a PvP thing, and it's pretty dope, especially because that skill has a 20 or 22 seconds cooldown. So for a half of it, she is immune to all CC. Plus there is a perk for that, which is also pretty brutal. Combined together, this will be really strong in Arena, I believe. Let's see, this is for her S1. Reduces mana cost by 1. So this means her 2 mana attack becomes 1. Really fast opener. After that, everyone is burning, and the second skill's damage is increased by 50%. Again, I would say this is PvP. And perhaps for certain battles where you only can do damage in a small window, like say in Xenadus, when you only have a little bit of time to do damage. This one might be good. 50% on that skill is quite a lot. So for those specific cases, this might be good. Arena and fights where you only do damage with your S1 and you don't need to recast it again and again. And And I'm saying that because we are getting to her final unique treasure, Cruel Delight. Increases critical damage by 50% and reduces Selv's cooldown of all skills by 3 seconds. Yep, she has built-in cooldown reduction with her unique treasure 4. If you check this, this is 7.5 seconds. Now if you can get this to 3 star, the cooldown reduction on this becomes 5 seconds. And if you checked her S2, it had a cooldown of 20 seconds and an uptime of 15. So basically a 3-star unique treasure will make it 100% uptime of a massive attack and penetration bonus that she gets to herself. And it brings all her cooldowns really, really low. Which means pair her with her heart and she's practically spamming skills as much as her mana allows. It's brutal. I'm telling you, this is gonna be real brutal. Now, of course, her single target damage won't be as good, I believe, as say Cecilia, but she's gonna be pretty dope. I'm sure of that. Her soul weapon, I checked it out, and it doesn't really seem to add that much to her. It's just raw damage, which is of course always good, and it works well as a stat stick, but it's not something that makes or breaks her, I believe, from how it looked like. Now, we should check her perks, because those are also very interesting. And before we do that, let's just get her to T5 actually. So let's purify. You can see her being happy and stuff. So let's see what the Transcendence animation is. I wonder what she was doing there. Eating her own flame ball, of course.
私に期待してる？じゃあ本気出してみようかな。じゃじゃーん。
Her voice is kinda hit and miss, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's her. Somewhat crazy. So let's check her perks. Of course, she has the standard T1 and T2 perks. Let's go to the specific ones for her. So, hit enemies take, this is for her S1, hit enemies take 25% increased physical damage. Now remember that this skill has a 22-second cooldown, and you can reduce that to 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds you could have a 25% physical damage. That's a pretty big uptime. So this is not a bad perk for PvE. If you need to, you can keep up a good buff. You can also do it for your own, depending if she is your main damage dealer or the secondary support DPS. The Dark perk for S1 gains the immunity to CC for the duration of now die. So this is definitely a PvP skill. Pop her S1. Maybe if you have that unique treasure for it, unique treasure 1, at 1 mana you can pop her S1 and then use this, making you immune to CC. Dope. S2 reduces mana cost by 1. This is meh. But this one, upon activation, HP does not fall below 10% for 5 seconds. Yeah, so this is for her already pretty brutal S2. It builds in the Mediana and Lovril unable to die skill, and it lasts for 5 seconds. And something that you can cast every 15 seconds with a 3-star unique treasure. And you can cast it even more. You can cast it like every 12.5 seconds. So this has close to a 50 or let's say 40% uptime. You may not need it on her in specific fights, but on those where your DPS can die, this is pretty dope, I think. S3, inflict stun, might be for PvP or if she's in a support role, doesn't look too good. This one increases mana cost by 2 and changes the number of targets to 3. Now what this means, let's just check out her skill again. Don't You Dare Run hits a random enemy 10 times, dealing total damage, and attacking the same target does more damage. What this does is that you will, that perk does, is that you will hit 3 targets 10 times. So it's altogether 30 hits. Still randomly, but this increases the damage of this skill by a lot. However, it only works in AoE situations, so it doesn't specifically say it increases the hits to 30. So if there is only 1 or 2 enemies, then this doesn't really do anything for you. So if you are trying to use her on a single target boss, it will not be that effective. Essentially, this is not good for that. But it can be good in other situations, say Xanadus or anywhere else where you want to nuke in a certain short time frame. So yeah, keep that in mind. Again, this may not be needed at higher levels when she has a very strong Eternal Blaze and her S1 just melts everyone. I believe in that case her S3 might lose its potency and will just become a filler when you have extra mana. But let's see how that works out. Cruel Delight, her S4, Eternal Blaze becomes irremovable. This can be both PvE in battles where there are dispels or cleanse on the bosses. For instance, Sky Trial. I have heard that she's really good in Sky Trial. And yeah, I have a feeling that she is. I'm gonna try her sometime this week. I've been farming 5 of that with my crow, but I want to try how it goes with her. But again, also PvP, having a very fast cast dot that cannot be removed is pretty dope, especially because it does do a lot of damage. So yeah, this one situational, but very good in those situations where you need it. Other characters often need a unique treasure for this, or don't even have any skill like that. Cruel Delight Dark, attacking the enemy inflicted with Eternal Blaze requires 7 mana each hit. So this could be, because all of her attacks are AoE, and it doesn't really say if you can attack them with auto attacks or skills, but either way her auto attacks are really AoE too, so if there are a lot of enemies this could be good. However, for mana I might use this one because this just gives her a lot of mana too per enemy, and this is always active. You do not need to actually be attacking anyone, and it's active the moment you enter the battle. So you don't need to actually cast S1 first and then get the mana from attacking. This will be up right away, so this might actually be better. Have to do some testing on that. And finally, Pansirone Dark. For 200 seconds after the beginning of the battle, attack increases by 5% for 15 seconds every 10 seconds. So basically, this will just keep increasing, and this effect can be stacked up to maximum 20 times. So for the final 15 seconds, this will have 100% attack increase. Yeah, you heard that right. So on top of her S2 buff, her S4 buff, her unique weapon buff, she also gets another 200% attack. Sorry, 100% attack. This is just so crazy. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know. Like really, this is dope. So yeah, essentially this will be definitely needed. So let's just see. We have a lot of skills now. Let's just reset her perks. So let's see how we would build her as a T5 without any extra TP. You would take attack and this one. Let's say we don't build this. So we get this one, and we still have 3 skills that we can pick. Now this one is pretty good. With this she would have like near 800 depth penetration. That's almost capped. That means she doesn't need any lines. So let's pick this one. And then we can choose the crit perk, for instance. So she doesn't need almost any crit lines either. And then we can either go for mana, if she doesn't have a mana battery like Shea, or if she's using like Book of the Mad for even more damage, Or if you feel you are comfortable with your mana, you do not need the survival from this or the dispel resistance, the cleanse resistance from this one. Then you could also go for just another extra 25% damage for every time you cast S1, because why not? Remember, this is actually from her first use of S1, which will so the second one, now die, will already benefit from this. So yeah, this is how I would do it. And of course you can increase her to 95 TP, which will make her even more powerful. So yeah, she is definitely a very brutal AoE hero. Um, I have seen her in videos melting bosses left and right in Fira and some other stuff too. So definitely very strong. Um, for PvP, of course, you would want things like not dying, um, immunity to CC, also eternal blaze becoming irremovable. These are good things. You don't need this because you aren't setting up for long battles in PvP. Yep. So that's Pansirone. Pretty damn brutal if you ask me. If you want to get her, now she is on discount for 3000 rubies. I would recommend her. I think she is pretty funny if you like crazy, and who doesn't, so yeah, crazy and cute. So these are her actual looks. You can check it out. And this is her costume, showing a lot of skin, also looking pretty decent. Although I do like this one actually. The cap is kinda awesome. And the acting. So yeah, this is Pansirone. I hope you liked the video and it was helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.